Hello again to all of you wonderful people out there in the interwebs and beyond on the 82nd edition of Weird Mind Newsroom, where we're once again back at it, talking on all of the new releases, a few options of trailers, and some of the news stories to come out for this week. So let's not waste too much time, let's just get to talk about all of them on all things media from this week.
And my axe.
On the first of the big releases for this week is seeing you hone your skills, sharpen your senses, and get ready for the hunt to begin, as we've received what is essentially, as the room reporting, the final film in the Sony-verse of Spider-Man films that doesn't have Spider-Man in it. That has been long overdue and delays, and that's with the newest film of Kraven the Hunter. The film will follow young Russian immigrant Sergei Kravenov as he sets out on a mission to prove to be the greatest hunter in the world and also the most feared, and take back his life and get revenge against his ruthless father of Nikolai. Reception of this film, like every other entry in this Sony-verse, has been hit with the usual mixed or negative reception, and while the performance of Aaron Taylor Johnson has some praise to his role, and some aspects that work like the elements of the R rating, it has been hit with the abundance of like bad CGI, writing being bad, and more silly than serious. But it may do okay in that regards, and while it seems to be setting up a sequel from what I've heard, like the third Venom movie did, that might just be, a false hope at this point, I think it could still happen. The likes of the Storyverse comes back with a better focused plan, or to become part of the MCU. But if you want to start the hunt for yourself, then you can catch this new film out now in cinemas. Our second big blockbuster of the week is a statement that has been long dormant and was discussion of many moons of this time of year in the past, but it seems those legends have returned, as we're heading back to the lands of Middle-earth for an all-new tale in all-new format to receive the new animated anime-style film of Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim. Set 183 years before the events of the original trilogy, the film tells the legend of Helm Hammerhand, a legendary king of Rohan and his family to become they defend their kingdom against an army of Dunlendings who will have a focus on an unnamed daughter of the king. Reception of this film has been slightly mixed, but also a little modest in its reception, with praise to its visuals, its action, and its performances. That has been critiqued for some still animation and the element of its story about how the Helm's Deep got its name, or how things like the daughter of the king has no much of a relevancy to the story altogether in the wider Middle-earth, but is still seen as a decent film overall. However, some great visuals and hopefully great battles, and hopefully we'll eventually find some popcorn buckets, then you can catch this film on now in cinemas. The last new films for this week is one more in the realm of the indie or award season based films that will see the base on a forbidden love in a different time and place, as A24 is back again with an all new adaptation and love story in the form of the new film of Queer. Set in 1950s Mexico, the film follows Lee, an outcast American expat who soon becomes infatuated with a young man named Alberton, a US Navy serviceman recently discharged from Jacksonville, who will form a bond that will hopefully help to find themselves again. Reception of this new film has been garnering some positive reception, with praise to the performances, particularly Daniel Craig as a highlight, and the well-focused love story, though some elements on its plot or adapting of its book are a little mixed in its regards. But here for something with a little bit of romance over big blockbusters, you can catch this new film out now in cinemas. Moving on to television now, we're heading back to one of my favorite studios, and the studio with the highest grossing film of 2024, with Pixar, as we're taking a dive again into the world of what goes on inside our heads. But instead of the focus of the emotions, we're looking at what we see when we close our eyes at night, as we've received the all-new mid-cool miniseries of Dream Productions. The miniseries will take us to the Dream Productions studio deep in the mind of Riley over in long term, as we follow the likes of a documentary-style film crew as they follow around the creatives at the production studio and see how the shows they create the dreams of the young Riley, and how much chaos and focus to make everything run properly and not fall apart, with a unique take on how dreams are made when we sleep. Reception of this limited series has been mainly positive, with praise for its unique take and approach to the series, the visuals, humor, and heart that went into what is essentially a third Inside Out film. Though some elements feel a bit too negative, I feel too samey to get a lot of mass appeal of the two films that came before. Now, I've watched this myself and I actually really liked it. Most complaints I have would be that for some it needs to be longer with a few episodes, and some of the leads are a little negative and have a little rushed character development, but it's not too much of an issue. I feel they could do another series after the second with a little more crazy ideas. If you want to check it out for yourself, you can catch all 4 episodes now on Disney+. And for our second show for this week is seeing us take a new form of one element of adaptation, and comes in the realm of video games. But instead of just focus on one of them, we have a wide variety as we receive the all-new anthology series of Secret Level. The series will take us deep dive into the world of some of the most memorable or recent video games of the past and present, from the likes of Mega Man, Sony's titles, Saifu, Armored Core, Dungeons & Dragons, and even to Pacman, and tell some new stories with these characters, and some tales we haven't seen before, or even some more weird ones that we would not expect. Reception to this series has been a little mixed, but still decently received, with praise for its visuals, some elements of its story and characters, and for being something new from the creatives of Love, Death and Robots. Though some of the episodes have been hit with a mixed opinion of it needed to be longer, did it need this much humor, or if this one was really necessary. I don't want to talk about the yellow sphere that eats dots and ghosts. But if you're up for something visually appealing and unique, you can catch the first 8 episodes now on Amazon Prime, with the second batch of them coming out next week. And our final release for this week, and after the only game for the week, is taking us on a trail of a massive globe-trotting adventure, and coming off the last of the film series, as everyone's favourite whip-cracking, Nazi-punching archaeologist is back for an all-new big game, as we have the last blockbuster game of the year with Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. The game will put you in the shoes of Indians sent between the events of Raiders and Last Crusade, and teaming up with an investigative journalist will discover a deep conspiracy and ancient treasure from the great monuments around the world. It will form a perfect circle around the globe and must use his wits and skills to outsmart the enemies of the Nazis and find the treasure before it falls into the wrong hands. Reception to this new adventure has been very well received, with praise for its visuals, its gameplay, its story, puzzles and combat, and has been seen as a better follow-up to over the last 2 films in the series, though personally I do like the last movie in particular. And if you're up for a globe-trotting adventure, you can now play this game now on Xbox Series X and S and PC, with a PS5 version coming out some point next year. With all that, that's all the new releases that we have for this week. So the first of the trailers for this week is taking us back to a series that's been a critically acclaimed franchise for its original film from over 20 years ago and its follow-up sequel, and we'll be seeing how our virus ravaged on and how many of us have adapted to the element of survival, as Danny Boyle and Alex Garland have returned once again with the first trailer for the long-awaited sequel of 28 years later. The plot will show the eyes that has been almost 3 decades since the Rage virus escaped from the biological weapons lab, and we'll see many who have been living in ruthlessly enforced quarantine have found ways to exist, live and thrive amid the infected. But one such group is have lived on a small island connected to a mainland by a single heavily defended causeway. But when one of them decides to leave the island on a dangerous mission into the dark heart of the mainland, discovers secrets, wonders and horrors that have mutated not only infected, but other survivors as well. So there's anything I could say about this as well as everyone else that online has been saying, but whoever cut this trailer together is a goddamn magician, as this gives us so much insight but very little on the plot and focus on how they go about showing everything in its form and how things have evolved over the years is really exciting. I look forward to see how this all comes about. Now I know this is also apparently the start of a new trilogy of films, with the second actually being shot back to back and being directed by Nia DaCosta, who did The Marvels, has apparently finished filming, and also seeing Cillian Murphy back from the original that everyone thinks is this zombie, but I think it's been confirmed that it's not. But I'm invested and look forward to see this new title come about, and it's coming closer as we have the film releasing in the cinemas from June 20th of next year. Our second trailer for the week is heading us to the realm of more video game adaptations, and we are in a series that has seen many mass appeals since the original series anime started nearly a decade ago, and has been chugging along and releasing a full series and its spin-off. And we return to this spin-off in particular once again and return to the battle of the families of monster killers and their fight against the undead king, as we receive the trailer for the second season of Castlevania Nocturne. This new season will follow on from the first one's narrative as we follow Richter Belmont and the rest of the vampire hunters being joined by Alucard as they race to stop Elizabeth Bathory's dark and terrible plans of taking over the world by any see fit. So as a case, I can say that for success of adaptation, this Castlevania one is something I was surprised would pop off this hard, but it has proved to be an amazing, massive, appealing success. And if this is promising more bigger scope, scale, and action, and the most craziest fight scene in this series so far, then we're in for something big. We don't have too long to wait. We're only about a month off, as the new season will be releasing on the Netflix from January 16th. And our final trailer for this week, we'll see a product that was worried would get the shelving from this one studio that seems to always write things off for some tax purposes, that seems to make things lose money more than they actually earn, as we see some iconic characters of animation return to save the planet from a very sticky situation, as we have the trailer for the upcoming film of The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes film. The plot will follow Daffy Duck and Porky Pig, who after a series of antics that occur as their new job at the bubblegum factory, both will discover a secret alien plot to take over the Earth via mind control. Soon it will be up to the duo as well as Petunia Pig to work together to stop the invaders while also trying not to drive each other insane in the process. So I've seen a few clips and pieces of this project already, and it's a case that the film has been seen to appeal in the charm of the classic Looney Tunes films and cartoons of the past. I've heard nothing but great reception to this project since its premiere in Annecy back in June, and look forward to seeing this whole film play out. Now at the moment there is no planned release date for the UK and Ireland, but it is apparently releasing for February 28th in the US and March 27 in Australia. Well, hopefully be around the same point as well for us. But with all that, that's all the trailers that we have for this week.
Man, look at all these games!
So we have a fair bit of news to talk about this week. So we're starting off the news with the first story being a follow-up to a video I just posted a couple days ago that early took me nearly out from a couple nights of like nearly no sleep. We're getting a follow-up to the winners and some announcements to come from the recent Game Awards that took place this weekend, and have quite a few I want to talk on, some of the most big winners and some announcements that surprised me, or all surprised by the amount of winners I got accurate. Let's delve into all of them, the events that unfolded. Now the big winners with the most wins was the little robot that walked away with 4 of its 7 nominations, which include the Game of the Year and Best Game Direction, as well as the Best Family Game, and I think it's some other one I can't remember. And while it was a mixed opinion for people in that win, I think it was well deserved in all regards anyway. As for the other big titles in the game section that were not some of the small technical side of things, Black Myth won for Gamer's Choice and Best Action Game, which I feel was deserved and would have been the choice for Game of the Year besides the Little Robot one. I need to play the game at some point. And as for the indie scene, it was a clean sweep for the Balatro sequel for both categories, which I felt was expected to win for those, and a few titles all winning a few awards here and there, with the second biggest winner of the night going to Metaphor Refantasia with 3 wins. Now, there was not a big win for every game, as there was 3 with a fair few nominations that walked away empty-handed, and that was with Shadow of the Eared Tree and Silent Hill 2, which I know someone says it apparently was rigged because Silent Hill didn't win anything, but I think in the case with the likes of remasters and remakes, it was going to be expected this was going to happen. That's just my own thing I've seen before. But overall, many deserving wins and a few that were a little mixed, and I think a few that kind of deserved a few wins in that regards. Now, if I recall from the 26 nominations that I kind of seen I get my thoughts on, I think I got 21 of them correct, which is about an 81% accuracy, which I was impressed with that amount. Like, I think last year I got like just a little over half right, so big success in that regards. And if you want to see which ones I got right, you can check below my video or link above here or there or somewhere like that, or to my channel, and see what I've given my thoughts on. But as the likes of announcements I mentioned, there are a few that were most appealing and surprising to me that some I have seen cause a bit of discourse online. Mainly in the case of the main male gamers complaining with most of them being titles and focused on women, which is just stupid. But I will give a couple of announcements that were the most surprising to me. So we'll start the first one that started off strong with the unveiling of a new Ninja Gaiden game with Ragebound, and it's nice to see a return to a classic difficult and fast fight challenge, and we'll have a confirmation of coming out some point in 2025. The popular indie title of Dave the Diver is also back again for another round of DLC and expansion with a journey deep into the jungles for more new adventures, and shall be on the way into the later part of next year. Then connecting back to one of the new releases from this week, the sequel episode about Pacman seemed to be a bit of a promo for a new Metroidvania take on the character with Shadow Labyrinth. That may be worth a try out and could be good to see a new take instead of a similar outcome to all forms that we've seen with Pacman, and is on the way some point in the new year. Now, one I was thinking we were a bit of a time away from seeing anything from was the unveiling of first look footage of The Witcher 4 that is showing us we are taking on the role of Ciri this time around, and Geralt apparently is still present in the game at some level, but they may be keeping it quiet for the moment. And so far from the cinematic, she looks great and it looks epic. I'm saying so because this seems to be one thing that people are playing, because once they become a main character, the female character, they suddenly got hit with the ugly ray or something. It seems to be a case everyone just points this out, or a lot of like people on Twitter. But I think she looks great and badass, and stop listening to so much complaints in that regards, but I'm looking forward to seeing more of this over time in the future. Then the title that looked hype as hell before concerns started kicking in was a new standalone based on the world of Elden Ring, with the unveiling of the Night Rain, that is a new co-op experience that I've heard is a possible battle pass system that they may be a bit of a concern, but hopefully we'll see how it comes around, actually be really good like the other From Software titles, and this one is also on the way some point in the new year. Now, a studio that has finally returned after nearly a decade, but the studio behind Eco and Shadow of the Colossus is coming back with a new game called Project Robot. It seems like an interesting concept and worth a check out as it comes along real soon. There's no date yet, and hopefully it won't be as overly delayed like The Last Guardian was. Then Game of the Year winner of It Takes Two studio, Hazelight Studios, are back with a new co-op narrative of split fiction of 2 friends who find themselves jumping back and forth between their 2 styles of stories they make of fantasy and sci-fi in order to get out of a machine they are trapped in. It's like those 2 games of the past, and all 4 know to play with a certain someone, and those other games that they made too, and will be coming out very soon on March 6th of next year. They unveiled some new gameplay for Borderlands 4, which unveiled a look at the new antagonist, I think is the Time Lord, and it looks like it could be good, and I've heard from like the person that fought, like, who was slowly, fighting an illness, apparently got to play it early, said it's really good, so it might work out well. We'll have to see how that comes out when it releases some point in 2025. Then a surprise reveal from the night was the announcement of a new entry in the Virtua Fighter series that will be made from the studio behind the Yakuza series, as on some way sometime in the future with no date as of yet. But speaking of Yakuza, we have a new form of a new type of game similar in that universe universe known as Project Century that's set in early 20th century Japan, I think 1950, and it looks really good and be worth a try out when it comes out some point in the near future. But speaking of return to a classic series, the classic game of Turok from the N64 is back with a new revival game in Turok Origins that looks like it's going bigger, badder, and visually appealing, and worth a try out when it comes out some point soon in the future. Then we finally got some footage and more of the story to the upcoming entry in the Mafia series with The Old Country. It looks like we're getting more of the origins of this career and like the whole story of family and with the Italian side. It looks fantastic and visually stunning. And be worth playing when it comes out at some point in the summer of next year. Then a surprise but welcome reveal is we're getting a sequel to the beloved title of Okami that was unveiled, and be worth a try when it does come out sometime in the future. And I was surprised we were actually getting an Okami sequel. It's amazing. And the final big announcement, and the only prediction I think I got right, was the newest IP from Naughty Dog with the intergalactic The Heretic Prophet that is going all sci-fi, and from the concept it gives me the vibe of two songs in tour of a Black Swan and Starlight Brigade mixed with some Guardians of the Galaxy and all other stuff. And I'm very excited to see what this will be about. I will keep an eye on this over time and play this when it does drop in the future. And part of the side that's excited because everyone is just either mocking you with old jokes from about 2 years ago or other things, and I'm just thinking you don't need to make these jokes. Come on guys, don't be like this. But with all that, I would like to know your thoughts on what was discussed this week and what games do you think should have won or to be announced from this award show. What do you think should have been announced? Let me know your thoughts on this all down below in the comments and we can discuss them there. Now for our next story, I will try and keep this one more brief as we have another award show discussion as we finally got some nominations for the upcoming event of the next year's Golden Globes that will reveal this week, and we'll give a quick insight of the big nominees for this year of film and television. So on the basis the most nominated on each side of things, the most nominated at this event for film was the Netflix movie of Amelia Perez with 10 nominations, making it the most nominated comedy musical film in the longest time since the 11 nominations of Nashville in 1975. And rounding out the 3 biggest nominees for the most in film is with The Brutalist with 7 nominations, and then rounding it out was Conclave at 6. Also, I'm happy to see that some animation was not getting trapped to just the one category of animation, as both my favorite anime movies of this year have received multiple nominations, with Wild Robot getting 4 and Inside 2 getting 2, and love to see them get some love as well for maybe this upcoming Academy Award, for the case you're not just trapped to the Academy Award section. We get like best music, best maybe screenplay, box of achievement, or best picture, that animation have some love, and let's see what happens with that. I will say there's one element of this that is confusing on some of these nominations, is that some horror movies and films that I kind of see more as kind of like dramas and stuff are apparently nominated in the comedy category, but which I wonder how this works in the kind of prediction stuff. But if they get nominated, then they get nominated, so whatever. But as in the likes of the TV side of things, our top 3 seems to be 2 regulars of this award show, with the most of 5 nominees going to FX's series of The Bear. And rounding out the top 3 with 4 nominations each is also from Hulu or Disney Plus, with Only Murders in the Building and Shogun, with a variety of limited series like The Penguin, Ripley, True Detective Night Country, and Baby Reindeer all getting multiple nominations around 3 each for performances or best shows of the year. So it's all to play for in the future. I'm not sure if I'll probably have a video out for this by the time. I think it's in like January, so it's like 3 or 4 weeks away. I'll see. Maybe if I'm not busy with other stuff, I might try and make a quick one or just do quick fire ones of just like maybe just see what categories come out, but don't hold me for that, so just bear with me in that regards of things. But I feel like it's a decent choice of everything and well deserving of most of the nominees for this year. But what do you think of these choices, and who do you think see winning the awards? Let me know your choice down below in the comments and we can discuss them there. On to our third story of the week is bringing us a array of so many different topics discussion on the week that covers the realm of announcements of sequels, remakes, and revivals that were announced from this week that were mixed in with some casting news, but I'm going to keep that to the last story. For now, let's talk about what came out from this week in terms of these revivals. So the first announcement from this week is one that I was thinking was unlikely of things to need a sequel for, but I guess there is another story to tell. As announced on Tuesday that we are getting a 4th film in the Meet the Parents series, and see Robert De Niro return for this film, as well as Ben Stiller as, well, apologies for his name, Greg Gaylord Fokker. Not sure where else they can go with this series. The last one was about Ben Stiller and his wives, Little Fockers, and meet parents, and it was for certain De Niro died in the last one, but I think it was maybe just been a heart attack or something, but survived through the whole thing. Unless the case of their kids all growing up and heading off to college or something, but I have really no idea. It could be interesting, but I guess we'll see how it all comes together down the line in the future. On to our next announcement, and is from one part of the film aspect that is basically a common thing at this point for every year at this rate, and that is with a new live-action remake from Disney. As well, we anticipate the release of Mufasa coming out next week, and prepare for both Snow White and Lilo and Stitch in 2025, amongst more on the way in the next 2 or 3 years. We have another new name being added to the selection, and that is with the announcement of Wednesday, we're getting a live-action remake of the 2010 and 50th Disney animated title of Tangled, which is the story of Rapunzel. Now, no cast nor release date has been made as of yet, but we do have a confirmation of a director in the form of Michael Granaday, who is directing the upcoming Robin Williams biopic of Better Man that comes out in 2 weeks, and also directed one of the most loved film musicals, and one of my favorites, The Greatest Showman. So we have an idea of working well with musical films. It's a case I've heard one name that everyone wants is a choice of Rapunzel, and that is with Florence Pugh, but while I think it's a decent choice, it will be down to see how this all comes together in the end of the casting, and I'll keep an eye on further updates. Also, a controversial opinion, I think Tangled is better than Frozen. Our third announcement for this week is with the concept that one of the stories from last week was the concept of a revival of a 2000s comedy classic like Scrubs, and I've seen a lot of classics in the past getting a revival over the years, and it looks like another smash hit from that era is making the same approach. As was announced on Thursday, we're getting a new small revival to the classic series of Malcolm in the Middle, with the confirmation that Frankie Muniz, Bryan Cranston, and Jane Kaczmarek coming back as the respective roles of Malcolm, Hal, and Lois for the series on Disney+. Now, as things stated, it is unclear as to what we will see the other birds of Reese, Stewie, Francis, or Jamie appear in the series as of the moment, but I do hope that it will have the same charm, appeal, and humor of the original series, as even after being finished since the late 2000s, and even the case that there was a somewhat epilogue in the form of an alternate ending to Breaking Bad, where the whole series is just a dream for Hal in that series. But I hope it all comes together for so far the 4 planned episodes, and I kind of will watch with interest because I think the show is pretty good. One small announcement was the end of potential, but it looks like 2 worlds are colliding for the next project, as was announced this week that the Pokemon company is teaming up with Claymation UK studio of Aardman to create something new and exciting in stop motion, maybe a new film, series, or something of a mixed or multiple reality variety. While things are kept very under wraps, we will probably find out more by the release of its project, which they confirmed is in 2027. And now we've been quite the likes of one thing for this week so far, and that's with the news relating to the realm of the superhero genre. And while it's not a focus of the heroes for this particular story, but rather for the likes of a villain, that would be interesting to see have been worked into a film adaptation. As it's for announced, we are getting a film based on the Batman villain of Clayface, and that will also be directed by one of the masters of horror with Mike Flanagan, which already gives me an idea this film will be some form of a dark body horror, kind of similar to The Substance or something like that. And I'm all for it, as is the case that we can see it be in the more grounded Reeves first, then an Elseworld solo film for this character would probably work more just as better, and I'm ready to see how all messed up this can truly be, because this character can really be really fucked up. And this last one might have just been denied as of writing and recording this, but I'm just going to add it in as a possibility of it happening, but we're trying to keep this quiet. But according to some sources, it has been rumored that there may be a sequel to the highest grossing film of last year on the way in the form of a sequel to Barbie, and that the duo of Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach are apparently currently in the early stages of development of the project with writing and stuff. Now, as of writing, some representatives for them have come out to deny these reports as true, but it could be the case that it's to cover it up. They may be actually in the very early stage of the idea of a story, but want to keep it very hush-hush for the moment until the time is right. But as all this instance, it does come along. I honestly would not mind seeing the sequel to this, as I like the first one, which you can see from my review for this movie down below. And in case I can go with the one I can see as the Barbie to my Ken, then I'm all for that. But I guess we'll see in the future if it does become a reality. But after all these announcements, I want to know which one of you are most excited about, and who would you see make a return to be cast for some of these projects? Let me know your opinions on this all in the comments below, and we can discuss them down there. And as for the last of the stories this week is giving the mention I first gave, which of course was discussion of some casting news of this week. And we have a few mixed variety of announcements to come from this week, so let's keep this deep dive discussion on some of those announcements. So the first bit of casting news is taking us to the superhero realm, and this time with the focus of the MCU. As one of the big announcements that this week was we have another 2 returning faces for the upcoming massive project of Avengers Doomsday, as announced that both Chris Evans and Haley Atwell will both be back for this new film, with them being unclear as to who they will be playing. Now, in most cases with Haley Atwell, in most instances she'll be back as her normal Agent Carter role, or as her performance as Captain Carter, which we saw from the What If series, as well as the brief cameo in Multiverse of Madness. But as for Chris Evans, it seems it's not the likes of this iconic role of Captain America, or even as his possible old role of Johnny Storm. Now, there has been some speculation speculation that he's going to be either Captain Hydra, which could still happen, but it seems the role he's going to be is the character of Nomad, which we got a little bit of the form in Infinity War, but it was not the full version of said character, which would be great to see that version of that look again, because I think many were sad to see him lose that in Endgame, but I'm excited to see when both of them return and intrigued to see how this will all come and turn out in the end. So our next casting is taking us to the galaxy far, far away, as we have some news relating to an upcoming project on the world of Star Wars, and as with the next film that's on the way out in the form of the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. As was announced that the character of Rata the Hutt, one related to previous crime lord Jabba the Hutt, will be in this film, and will also be voiced by the bear star of Jeremy Allen White. Probably the most strange casting I would expect from this actor, and expected someone more maybe sinister or focused like a Jedi Master for him or something like that, but I'm sure it'll be interesting to see how this voice comes from the creature and expect for him to talk about some great cuisine or something, but I guess we'll see how this film drops in 2026 about how his character goes. Now for the likes of some biopic news, and this one again is taking us to the likes of the planned 4-film Beatles biofilms, and we have another confirmed casting from a long-standing rumor. Sir, the second Irish actor has been cast. As the British music icon, as rising Irish star of Paul Mescal has been cast as band member Paul McCartney, joining Barry Keoghan as Ringo Starr for these movies. So it seems like those rumored castings were true from all those weeks ago, and I'm sure they will announce the confirmation of George Harrison and John Lennon very shortly. I think the choice for these band members is a decent one, and we'll be intrigued to see how it comes about, where these biopics apparently get morphed up these iconic figures of music brought to life on the big screen, probably within the next 3 years, but we'll see. And the last casting is coming to us from an aspect that relates to a remake that feels a bit unnecessary, and as with the planned retelling of the 2000s classic of American Psycho, as was possibly confirmed that they have found their new version of Patrick Bateman as Oscar-nominated star and Elvis superstar of Austin Butler. Now, like this actor has proven himself over the last few years in his range from the king of rock and roll to a fierce Harkonnen warrior and even the rebellious kid from a biker gang, but I would be intrigued to see him take on the sadistic psychopath. But it's again also the case if we really need this remake in the first place, given how relevant this film has become as of recent with countless memes from said character, but I guess will come about when the film enters development in due time some point soon. But with all that casting news, I want to know your thoughts on these projects of casting and who you think they will play or who will you cast for some of these roles. Let me know what you think down below, and with all of that, that's all the news that we have for this week. And now, with all of that, that ends episode 82 of Weird Mind Newsroom, and I hope you enjoyed listening to my ramblings for another week or so. So thank you for listening and just being supportive. Anyways, a quick few updates. As I mentioned as well, my first story, I do have another episode of, I do have the Game Awards video out there right now, so you can check that out if you haven't seen it already. You can go through what I got. You can probably see what I got right, what I got wrong, and my predictions were complete whack, and my thoughts, and wondering most cases if they got the fixtures right on, certain critiques I had about this project. But yeah, that's all regards. But anyways, moving on from that, we're going to talk about reviews. So in the case instance, I did start a little bit on the Deadpool and Wolverine review over the last few days. It's just a case that I was so focused more on the Game Awards video, so I didn't get fully deep into it. But I will be getting deep into it now the next couple of days. I'll probably do more later today or something like that. But hopefully by midweek, I'm going to have that out. Hopefully. And then I'll start on the other 2 videos, maybe try and get those out by the end of the year. So which is going to be case the double feature of Transformers and Wild Robots. So fingers crossed in that regard. But in the case as well, I might try to push a few short ones out as well. Maybe a few that I kind of have in mind where it's like there's not that many characters or much like can't really talk on much about it. I'll do a quick short fire review, and this is a few I kind of want to do like a long form one on. Like if there's someone important to me that wants to give their thoughts on some things, I'll do a longer one to give their thoughts on that as well. Let's see how it comes down the line. Right, next then, gameplays. I have a couple of videos to go. I have up to the winter chapter in Last of Us as well as Left Behind ready to go. I'm just going to upload 1 or 2 of them in a bit or something like that, as well as the case that I have the next part of the 3-part epilogue piece for Hogwarts Legacy ready to go as well. I just need to kind of just do a little tweaks of updates and visuals and stuff like that, everything, and I should have them out over the next couple of days as well. Try and get all of them maybe done by the end of the year, so at least that there's a bit of content for you to watch over the Christmas period. And also in case I'm going to prep myself probably for next week to do the thing I did last year, which was the Weird Mind episode in rhyme. It was a fucking interesting idea, but let's try and see how it works out. And in the case instance, be more gameplays coming soon as well, maybe whatever I get for Christmas maybe or some of that, or some other games. But let me know down below as well on the links in the description of like what games you play on the console, or even just like if there's some of that category you don't want me to play, just write in the comments of what ones you want me to play. I might see if I have it. And that's for the case then for long form stuff at that. AI video and rewatch fun above coming. Not sure about Harmo's Born now at this point because it's a bit late in those regards. Maybe at some point just randomly in the middle of the year, like kind of midway between Halloween or something like that. I don't know. I'll see how it comes about. I just need to find the time to write it. I do have it like draft ready to start writing up about. Just did the free episodes, so bear with me on that one in that regards, and the other ones I will get to as well. and get some insights for some bits for like the AI one from someone, so we'll get that case. But I think I'm gonna leave it there because I think I've rambled on long enough, and I feel like this is gonna be way longer than the last few episodes, like double the episode length. But as always, if you enjoyed my content and want to see more from me and more frequently and more entertainment content wise, I can improve my entertainment wise, then simply like and subscribe. I upload videos every single week, and I'm hoping to reach a goal within the next 16 days of reaching 100 subscribers by 2025. We are just 4 away. And I'm hoping the case instance that if you support my channel and help get it to over 100 subs, I'll be ever so grateful. I will shout out every single person of you that subscribed and may do something special for like 100 subs or something like that. We'll figure it out. But anyways, I think with that, I'll leave it there. Let me know your thoughts on everything as well from this week of what I discussed about this week. If you've seen any of this stuff and your thoughts on everything that was discussed this week as well. But I shall leave it there. So as always, you all stay being wonderful people. Have a great day every day, doing many great things. And as always, to keep being you because no one else could do what you do. I've been your host, Sam. I hope you enjoy listening to my ramblings. As always, stay being wonderful people, and I'll see you all in the next episode. So take care, and I'll see you later.